All right, y'all, welcome back. Okay, this week we are going to be talking about clairaudient. Clairaudient deals with the way to hear spirit. Okay, clair meaning clear hearing. So clairaudient is clear hearing. Okay, the ability to hear spirit, to hear God, to hear your spirit guides, your ancestors. Okay, your guardian angels. So we're going to talk about how you can hear them and how you probably are already hearing them, and maybe you're just not haven't been explained that you've already been doing it. So we're going to talk about some ways that it happens and some ways that you can meditate for it to happen, like you can bring it in, and then some ways that you can identify when it is happening so that you can make life a little bit easier when you're in your day-to-day operations and you're out and about, and maybe you don't have your divination tools or other ways that you communicate with spirit with you. You can always hear them so that you know that they're always with you and they're always speaking to you at all times. You just got to be able to listen. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. So before we get started, at this time, I would say command yourself to ground, just like we've done in the previous classes. We're going to ground. So at this time, I command myself to ground, allowing my root chakra and my legs, my feet to be connected to the earth. Let the earth pull out any energies, feelings, and emotions that I no longer need, that I don't want, that's not for my highest good, Ashe. And as I feel that downward motion of pulling energy, the energy being pulled downward, I'm also calling in the light to enter the top of my crown. And as those energies are pulled out the bottom of my feet and my legs and the root, I'm bringing in light into the crown to replace that energy with. And I feel the light in the top of my head all the way down to the bottom of my feet. Grounding. Grounding. Remember, grounding can be looked at as emotional medicine. Your emotions are all over the place. Grounding helps center you and helps to release any maybe anxiety or anything like that that you may be dealing with. Brings you a calm spirit. So that's very important when we're talking about hearing spirit, because if you got a lot going on in your head, it may be hard to hear them. So you got to ground yourself so that you can listen. Now, when we're talking about hearing spirit, okay, we're not necessarily talking about hearing them with the physical ears. We're talking about hearing spirit with the ears of your mind, if you will. Okay. Some people may call it like the voices in your head. And when we talk about the voices in your head, some people use that as a negative connotation. However, this is how spirits speak to us. This is how God speaks to us, because our mind is what connects us to God, what connects us to our spirit team. So the mind has to be clear and quieted so that we can hear God, so we can hear spirit, hear our spirit guides, our angels. So at this time, command that your mind be cleared and quieted, Ashe. I command my mind be cleared and quieted, Ashe. Remember, clearing removes things from the mind that you don't need for the moment, for what you're focusing on. Quieting the mind disconnects you from the outside things that doesn't apply to you at the moment. So since today we're going to be talking about hearing spirit, anything that's not associated with class with hearing spirit is going to be removed from the mind, quieted from the mind, so that you can focus just on being able to hear your spirit guides, your spirit team, to hear God. Ashe. Again, this time I clear and quiet the mind. Ashe. So all the classes we've done, we always talk about making sure we call protection on the mind. Now, when we call protection on the mind, we're going to add a little bit of something to it, okay? We're going to call protection on the mind, but we're also going to add intentions that protection protects our mind from any forces, any dark forces, any untruthful forces, meaning any spirits of deception, lying spirits, okay? Spirits of confusion. We want to protect our mind from malicious spirits, protect our mind from spirits they're basically not of goodness, not of light, not of truth. Because again, when you're talking about hearing spirit, you want to make sure you hear the truth. You don't want to hear anything that that pushes you in a direction that you shouldn't be going, or pushes you in a direction of harm's way. So when protecting the mind, especially when we're talking about hearing spirit, we want to make sure we call on protection on the mind, also with intentions of protecting our mind from any spirits of confusion and spirits of deception. I think maybe confusion and deception kind of covers that all. So at this time, I call protection on my mind and also call protection on my mind from spirits of confusion and spirits of deception. Ashe. And just like any other time, we sit and we feel the protection as it sits in place. Okay. And then lastly, we always want to make sure our mind, because this is the space that spirit speaks. So we want to make sure our mind is on a high vibration so that we only attract and speak with high vibrational spirits, right? God, spirit guides, angels, high vibrational ancestors, Orisha, etc. Okay. We want to make sure we're talking to high vibrational spirits, but our mind also have to be there as well. So you can fill your mind with light, meaning imagine bright light filling up your mind, right? Or the way I like to do it, and the way my spirit guides instruct me to do it, that works best, is to place my mind inside of a vortex of light. So think of a vortex of light, a wind, a spinning tornado of light, energy of light, and your mind being placed inside. So not only is the vibrations of your mind is raised, but because that spinning energy of light, it also protects your mind from any like jinn spirits, any spirits that are pretty much of deception. Jinn spirits tend to be the ones that interfere with the most when it comes to spirits of deception and confusion. So placing your mind inside of a vortex of light. Okay. And another way you can do it is just in placing your entire being inside of a vortex of light. So what I do for that basically is I command that all of me, be placed inside of a vortex of light. So I just imagine my body, just imagine me with, again, light energy, wherever light looks like to you, but in a fast moving, spinning energy around you, all the way to your skin, all the way inside, all the way out through your aura. And then I sit and I feel the vortex of light over me. It may feel like a cooling sensation. When I've done this for other people, especially when I've done house cleansing at a distance, cleansing, where they say it feels like wind is blowing in the house, that was a vortex of light that I placed her home in. So same thing you want to do for yourself. Okay, so at this time, I command my mind or my entire being be placed inside a vortex of light. Ashe. And then I close my eyes when I do this because as the light is filling my mind, I notice that it gets brighter over my eyelids, like the light gets brighter. And that lets me know that my mind is being filled with light. All right. So hopefully by now you're feeling calm, you're feeling centered, your mind is calm, it's clear. You probably don't have a lot of thoughts going through your mind right now, which is good because that's kind of where we want it, so that you can be ready to hear spirit. Okay. Now, one of the ways to invoke this ability to hear spirit is going to be through prayers and affirmations, right? Or just words, meaning um, um, I may say a prayer or may just simply ask my spirit team, ask God to tell me something, whatever that something is. And then by asking to tell me something, then I'll hear it. I'll hear it in the mind. I'll hear the voice, right? When I was growing up, I didn't know what that voice was initially. I just called it the voice, and the voice felt good, sounded good, it was truthful, it pointed me in good directions, and it was very clear. And I would hear this voice a lot in church when I was growing up doing sermons. So I would be sitting in the pews, and a pastor, whoever would be preaching, and when that pastor is preaching, I would hear this voice guiding me along with the scripture saying, okay, yeah, that's well, that kind of like that, but not quite like that. So this voice was basically like giving me the behind the scenes of the scriptures that was being read to the church, right? And so I would hear this voice all the time. It didn't, like I said, it didn't sound bad, it didn't feel bad. It just was like just telling me, like, yeah, you can hear that verbatim. That's kind of how that was. Or it would say, that's not the quite meaning. Meaning the voice would say, those are the words, but this is what it really means. And then I would be able to connect the dots with this voice being able to show me what those words really meant in that scripture. And then later, as I grew older, I realized that was God speaking to me. God was saying, listen, remember, this has been, shifted a little bit. So some of the words won't mean exactly what you think it means when you read it. I was hearing God's voice in my head as a teenager, guiding me as I was listening to Spirit or listening to the preachers, right? So just like sometimes when I'm probably teaching, you're probably hearing a voice in your head saying, okay, you heard how he said that, so do it like this. Or, okay, you can do it that way, but maybe tweak it and do it that way. So you're listening to me, but you're also hearing a voice in your head or some also showing you other ways to do what I may be expressing. So again, that goes back to you're already hearing spirit. You probably just wasn't recognizing it as that, right? Now let's talk about some ways that you can hear spirit that may not be the normal way, what people would consider normal. So, for example, when I was growing up in the church, again, I was able to hear God's voice speak to me as I listened to the sermon. And as I listened to the sermon, give me examples of what that means. And then I was able to connect the dots. I said, oh, I get it, right? But as I got older, technology also grew along with it. So back in the day, when we would think of someone, for example, we would hear a song in our head, right? Because music was a big thing. So because music was a big thing for me, and I love to listen to music, I associated music with the messages. So if I thought of someone and a good song played in my head, I listened to the lyrics, and that was spirit talking to me about the individual that I'm thinking about, right? And that can be good or bad or indifferent depending on the situation. For example, I had seen someone some time ago, and I'm going to be a little honest. I said, that's an attractive woman, right? She's attractive. And then I heard a song in my head play and said, that girl is poison. And I said, oop. So I heard the song in my head. That is spirit speaking to me through song, right? So that I have clarity on the type of spirit that I was looking at, not the physical, but the spirit that I was looking at in the person, right? That's an example of hearing spirit. So it won't always be just a voice. It can also be a song. It can be lyrics to a song. It can be the music of a song, that the music of that song carries a meaning to you, that when you hear that music, you understand exactly what the meaning of that means. So that's one way. Okay. Now, because technology have grown and we have social media, sometimes spirit can speak to you in other ways. Like, let's say there's a popular soundbite. There's a popular soundbite. So there's one particular soundbite that comes in my mind of an African guy that's like a chef, And he goes, yeah, boy. And I probably didn't do it right, but that's kind of what he sounded like. And so when I'm doing certain things that's in alignment and it feels good when I'm doing it because it's alignment, I will hear that in my head. And I know which spirit guide, when I hear that, who's associated with that one, because that's him letting me know you're on the right track with that. Like, not only do I feel good about it, this spirit guide who helps me with certain things is also saying, I'm in agreement with that too. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, boy, that's it right there. So you may even hear like little clips in your mind from spirit, but it may not be them. It may come to you in a form of something that you've seen on social media, on TV, or something like that. That's just the words that align with the message. Think of it like if you ever seen the movie Transformers. Bumblebee Transformers, that's the yellow Corvette. Is it a Corvette? No, it ain't a Corvette. What's Bumblebee? It's a Corvette? Camaro. Camaro. There we go. Thank you. Bumblebee is a Camaro, right? But Bumblebee can't speak directly like the other Autobots. Bumblebee have to speak through his radio, and he uses sound bites from songs and news clips and stuff like that to speak. Sometimes that's how spirit speaks to us in our mind too. They use little clips that we've heard that we can identify, we can associate with, that if I say it this way, if I use this soundbite, you will know what that means. So they won't speak to you in a way that you won't get it. They'll always use something that they can speak to you where it's like, that's what that is, right? So those are other ways you may hear spirit. So if you don't think you're hearing spirit because you didn't hear it like in a regular voice, but you hear these sound bites, you're like, oh, that's why I hear it like that. Yeah, that's how it works for you. Or for some people, it works for music. So you always hear a song that plays when it comes to the message. Spirit speaks to you through songs. So you hear it in your head, the song, right? And then there is, of course, when there's a direct speaking from spirit where you can hear the voice, whatever that voice is, right, for you. And that voice changes depending on who's speaking. So it can be God's voice, it can be an angel, it can be an ancestor, a spirit guide, guardian angel. And their voices are different depending on who they are and how they want to present themselves. Keep this in mind, not all spirit guides speak. Some spirit guides only use like feelings. They may come to you in dreams. What else? Other means like messages to other people, symbols, animals. Some spirit guides just don't speak. I have a spirit guide, one of my grandmother, she rarely speaks. Most of the time I can feel her, I can see her, and in dreams I can see her, and she rarely even speaks in the dreams. That's just not her method of communication most of the time, right? So if you don't hear a certain spirit guide in your mind, it doesn't mean that they're not there. They just don't prefer to communicate to you through speaking. Okay? Now, each spirit guide again speaks in a way that you can understand it, that you can separate who they are from the other spirit guides. Okay? So some spirit guides will speak in a low tone, high tone, medium tone. Some of them may have an accent to kind of give you an idea of who they may be to you. For example, they may speak in an accent that's in your bloodline, in your family. So you know, okay, this is one of my ancestors talking to me. Or you may hear one of your loved ones' voices as they sounded when they were living. And then you know, this is one of my ancestors, this is one of my loved ones. You may also hear their voice on command. Example, what we're going to do tonight is we're going to ask your spirit guides to speak to you and tell you who they are and speak to you. And you're going to hear it, you're going to write it down so that you can know, oh, that's the voice I've been hearing when I'm doing this. And then this is the voice I'll be hearing when I'm doing that. Right. So if I'm going grocery shopping, I may hear one voice saying, don't buy that. Yeah, you should buy that. Ooh, don't get that. Yes, get that. And you notice every time I go grocery shopping, I hear this one voice guiding me. And then when I'm getting ready to fix the car, I hear this one voice saying, did you check this? Did you check that? Maybe try this. Start it now, see if it worked. I hear a voice in that ear, in my mind, guiding me in it. Okay. One thing I will say you will notice when the Spirit is speaking to you, typically you're going to hear that voice louder than whatever else is going on in your mind. Meaning, if it's have head and everything else gets muffled, and you hear that voice, and then everything else goes back to normal volume, and then we keep going. But those spirits who like to speak, their voice will cut through everything that's going on in your mind so that you can hear. Unless you're just so cluttered that they just can't get through. I think the best way to do it is really just to do it. Best way to explain it is to do it. So this is what we're gonna do. Okay, we already quieted our mind. We already cleared the mind, call protection. Okay. So the first thing I want you to do is ask your main spirit guide, kind of like we did in the last class, the spirit guide class. I want to ask your main spirit guide to allow you to hear them. And then when you hear it in your mind, then ask yourself, have you heard that voice before? Is that the voice you hear all the time guiding you? And what do they have to say? Meaning, ask your spirit guide, let me hear you and give me something that I need to know. Let me know something that I need to know. Don't try to force it. Just let them speak. Just hear the voice. Don't try to control it. Don't try to control the words that's being said. Okay? And don't think you crazy either. Okay? Just let the words come to you. Say it. Write it down if you need to. Pay attention to the voice, the accent. Pay attention to the voice and the accent, how they speak, and then ask yourself to see if that's something that you've been hearing and you just didn't realize that maybe that was one of your spirit guides. All right, you ready? Take a deep breath. Again, ask your main spirit guide to come forth and speak to you in your mind so that you can distinguish who they are, what they sound like when they are speaking to you. Hmm. So, anybody here the spirit guide speak to them? I definitely did. Give them a thumbs up or something you heard. Okay, see one thumb, two thumbs, some hearts. Good, 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 good. Now, just like we did before, you're going to ask your spirit guide in real time for guidance. And again, you want to hear it. You want them to speak it. I want you to think of something that you need guidance on, okay? And ask your spirit guide to speak guidance into you. It ain't got to be a full message. It ain't got to be a full message for the sake of class. But I just want you to be able to receive something that you can hear in your mind that you can do in the direction for whatever it is that you need guidance for. Okay? Okay. Okay. So I just heard a message from me. That was, okay. And I wrote that down. Okay. Anybody get any guidance? Anything that gave you a, yeah, you know what? Anybody get something? You don't have to say what it is. Just give me a thumbs up or you can put it in the chat. I definitely got something that I'm like, interesting. Now, do y'all recognize how easy that was? Do anybody recognize how easy it was to hear spirit when you did it this way? You can thumbs up or put yes in the chat. Do you recognize how easy it was? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So when you meditate, we'll go back to the first class, right? We talked about meditation on how to clear and quiet the mind, protect the mind, connect to the light vortex, or fill the mind with light, right? To meditate. Now you can actually hear spirit in your meditation. You can feel them because we did that already in the spirit guide class, but now you can actually hear them. Now think about it. You out and about, you in the store, or you're engaging with people, right? And now that you know that you can hear spirit, and now that you probably know that you've been hearing spirit, it makes life a lot easier. Things can come to you a lot faster. You can make decisions a lot quicker, right? Let's say you're driving down the street and then something says, you hear a voice that says, go left instead of right today. And you're like, go left instead of right. Why am I thinking that? You know what? Okay, bet. And you go left. And then you find out on the news later on that the people who were in right got into an accident. But your clairaudience spirit spoke to you in the mind and said, go left. And it was quick. It was a quick, hey, go left. Don't go right today, go left. And you went left. And you just like, okay. That quick split decision, you were able to go left and make an informed decision to save your life, right? Or save yourself from harm and injury. You can probably look back on many occasions you've heard a voice tell you to move in a way that was a quick split decision, whether it was something that was harmful or not. It could have just been something as simple as, don't buy that item, buy this one. And you be like, and then you buy it and you be like, oh shoot, that was way cheaper. That was way cheaper than the one I was gonna get. So even things like that. Maybe you have a dilemma, should I buy this car or that car? And you hear a voice in your mind that says you'll be better off with this one. And then you buy that car, and then you find out later that the one that you didn't buy had a bunch of recalls on it. It was gonna be broke. So you're glad you didn't buy it. See, I'm not teaching you nothing that you don't already do. You just probably haven't been identifying it as you doing it. But we all hear spirit all the time. And sometimes we write it off as thoughts, we write it off as, being crazy, or we write it off as, just random thoughts. And it's like, no, spirit is speaking to you all the time. You just probably don't know. Now, this is important. You need to acknowledge sometimes when it's your spirit or your spirit guides or God versus your ego, right? Versus your ego. Sometimes your ego will speak to you in a way that may seem satisfying at the moment, but could be detrimental later on, right? It's kind of like when we talk about being careful with operating out of your ego versus your spirit. So you need to know what your ego sounds like versus what your spirit sounds like, so that you don't mix up the two and make a move out of ego that can be detrimental versus spirit that's going to be divinely guided. So when I'm doing something, and especially with something serious, I make sure sometimes I got to tell myself to remove my ego so it doesn't interfere at all, right? So if I'm doing a one-on-one session, a reading session, before I start that session, I have to pray my ego to be removed from the situation, so that the voices I hear when I'm doing the session is only high vibrational, divinely guided. Spirit team, God speaking through me, nothing else. So we're gonna do a little exercise with the ego because I need you to know the difference when it's your ego. Okay, got to know when it's the difference when it's your ego versus spirit. So I want you to ask your ego to say something to you so that you can hear what your ego sounds like when it's jumping in. And when you hear your ego speak, you may also get a feeling in your body with it that also will help you identify when your ego is speaking versus your high vibrational spirit, your higher self. Okay? So ask your ego to present itself and to speak to you so that you can hear what it sounds like when it's speaking to you. That's why I be feeling that sometimes. Yeah. I just had an epiphany. Because I got a feeling when I heard the voice of my own voice, but I got a feeling that came with it. And I was like, I wonder why I be feeling that sometime. That'd be my ego. I gotta be careful with that. So hopefully you got to feel, not only hear your ego, but you got to feel it. Did anybody feel their ego when they heard it? Like feel it in their body? I see some hearts. Okay. Yeah, they ain't feel good. It felt a little emotionally unstable. It's probably the best way to say it. But I felt like pressure here. I felt like pressure in my stomach and the back of my head, but especially the back of the head. I was wondering why sometimes I'd be feeling that. That's my ego. I gotta be so now I can identify. And it was very heavy. It was very heavy, but I heard my own voice. But the words weren't that great though. It was some unsavory words being spoken. I mean, yeah, I'll be saying stuff like that sometimes. I mean, but damn, I ain't like the feeling that came with it. So I know now for sure, without a doubt, that if I hear those words in my head and feel this, yeah, I'm my ego. I need to chill. Yeah, because that was real heavy. All right, ego, move, get away. So now I want you to tell yourself to release your ego from you at this time. So you can feel how you feel when your ego is not in charge. So at this time, I command my ego to be removed from you at this time, Ashe. So I want you to remove your ego. And I've developed over time this like movement that when I say my ego remove, I just do this motion with my hand and my ego knows, okay, he's telling me to go. Yes, go. Out the way. Okay. Much better. So that's the difference between ego and spirit. Okay. Now, usually when it comes to low vibrational spirits, right, we're talking about like demonic forces, gems, energy vampire spirits, sex demons, anything low vibrational. Usually they will also have a heavy feeling with it as well, right? Meaning you might hear, them talking to you, but then you have this icky feeling over your body, this heaviness over you, then that might not be a good spirit talking to you, right? A lot of people, especially in the church, sometimes they'll be like, you can't, y'all doing this stuff and them demonic spirits gonna get to y'all too. That can happen with anybody, right? So you have to just be able to determine when it's a good spirit versus a bad spirit because of the energy you feel along along with what you hear. When God is speaking to me, when my spirit team is speaking to me, angels, archangels, Orisha, there is a light feeling. There's a cooling sensation, a tingly feeling. There's a pleasant feeling that always comes along with that. And when there's something bad trying to speak to me, then there's a heaviness, uncomfortable feeling that usually comes with that. So that's how you determine. So let's say you're trying to hear your spirit team and you hear a voice, and then all of a sudden you feel like this heaviness come over you. You stop and you say, mm-mm-mm-mm-mm. At this time, I pray that any bad, evil, spirits of deception, negative spirits, whatever words come to you, that they be removed from me at this time. Ashe, amen, namaste. And then you feel that energy. You feel those spirits be removed from you. And then as you feel those spirits be removed from you, and then you pray again and you say, I only allow God, the God of my life, whoever that is, I only allow my higher self, my high vibrational ancestors, my angels, whatever, high vibrational. I only allow them to speak to me, and I only allow truth to be spoken to me. No deception, no trickery, no confusion. So you setting a boundary, right? A boundary, a spiritual boundary, as in what type of spirits are allowed to speak through you. See, some people are open vessel. Your open vessel, any and everything comes in and just speaks. So you have to set a spiritual boundary of what you allow to speak to you so that dark forces, lower vibrational forces don't enter your mind and try to mislead you and push you in the wrong direction. It's very important for your protection. We're going to get into protection next week. But since we're talking about hearing spirits, again, set a spiritual boundary of what type of spirit you will allow to speak to you, to use your mind to speak to you. This is your vessel, so you have to be in control of it and in charge of it. Okay? Practice. And this time you're going to do similar to what we did in the spirit guide class. You're going to ask a spirit guide for a certain role in your life to speak to you, to let you hear. And let you hear any message they may have for you in that specific role. So I'm going to just help you understand it, right? Last time we was doing the spirit guide class, I used an example. I told y'all my spirit guide associated with jewelry making. And I asked that spirit guide to allow them to let me feel what they feel like. Right. So this time I'm going to choose the spirit guide voice to give me a message about jewelry making. Okay. Usually they come in my dreams and show me, but I'm asking them to let me hear them this time. So I want you to pick something specific in your life, in whatever going on, in a specific role, and ask the spirit guide of that role, of that particular part of your life, to give you a message about that particular part of your life. So this could be for work, this could be for romance, this could be a spirit guide for creativity, your spirit guide for maybe you are a healer or a Reiki master, or you do readings, whatever role you want to pick. Ask that spirit guide of that particular area in your life to speak to you. Write it down, get a message, write it down. And then we're going to get ready to wrap it up. Okay. Okay, write down my message. Okay, cool. All right. So hopefully you got, so the reason why we wanted to do that was we wanted to distinguish the difference between different spirit guides. And hopefully, when you heard the first spirit guide, your main one, you had a feeling that came with that one. And then now that you're choosing another spirit guide of a different role in your life, that you got a feeling along with that one as well. So now that you can distinguish how your spirit guides, how they come in and out, and they speak at different times, okay? Now, if you are somebody who do readings and stuff like that for other people, or maybe you're the type of person who mentor people, or maybe you're someone who people come to for advice a lot, you may also notice that you hear in your mind the words before you actually speak it, right? That is spirit speaking to you. You are hearing spirit. You're hearing the words come to you before you actually say it, right? You are hearing spirit. So when we get into the third class for this month, which I believe is prayers, affirmations, and mantras, what we're talking about today is going to be very, very pertinent for that class. Okay. So I hope this class brought some confirmations and clarifications. I did not feel like in this class I would be necessarily teaching you, but more so just giving you a confirmation of what you've already been doing. I've always heard a lot of people say they may have trouble hearing spirit, hearing God. Okay. So the only part that I may say that could be beneficial for sure is the part when we're talking about grounding and clearing the mind and protecting the mind. Because if you're having trouble hearing God and spirit, then that could mean that your mind is too cluttered. You got too much going on up there, right? So that part definitely could be something that's being taught. The rest of it that we're doing really is just a confirmation that you've already been doing this. So be confident in yourself to know that you are connected to the divine, you are connected to the higher vibrational spirit, to God, to whatever it is that you believe in, that you are connected, and you just have to be confident that when you hear that voice, if it feels good, 9 times out of 10, it's good. If it's a bad spirit, your body is going to let you know if it's not a good spirit. So you don't have to have any fear in that. You just have to trust that your body is going to let you know if something bad is speaking through you versus if something good is speaking through you. Okay? So set a boundary, whether through prayers, affirmations, or something, or just speaking it, to make sure that your mind only allows good, high vibrational energy, angels, spirits, God to speak through your mind. Anything that's not of light, set a boundary that it is not allowed. Ashe? Ashe. All right. I hope everybody have a good one. And then I will see y'all next week in our next class for spiritual protection. Ashe.